Now on Inside California Politics, a Democratic coronation in Chicago.
I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America.
Vice President Kamala Harris making history, doing so in front of a who's who list of Democrats, including California Governor Gavin Newsom.
Sense the energy, the sense of pride and optimism all across this country, not just from a political lens, is pretty palpable.
My conversation with the governor and others during a frenetic week here in Chicago for the DNC.
Broadcasting across the Golden State, this is Inside California Politics.
Thanks for joining us for Inside California Politics. I'm Nikki Lorenzo in Chicago, in the United Center, the usual home of the Chicago Bulls, but for this past week, played host to the Democratic National Convention. On the stage behind me Thursday, Vice President Kamala Harris officially accepted the Democratic Party's nomination for president, making history in the process as the first Black as well as South Asian woman to be the presidential nominee of a major party. The East Bay native gained prominence as San Francisco's district attorney and later went on to serve as California Attorney General, U.S. Senator, and finally Vice President of the United States. Now she is one election away from potentially being the second California-born President of the United States behind former President Richard Nixon. I spent this week speaking with Democrats from across the country as part of Nexstar Media's coverage of the DNC, including California Governor Gavin Newsom, who has known Vice President Harris for decades, including their time serving in San Francisco, with Newsom serving as mayor and Harris as the district attorney. Here's part of my conversation with Governor Newsom. Governor Newsom, appreciate you making some time for us.
It's great to be with you. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to take us back to Monday night, Joe Biden, his swan song, so to speak.
Yeah.
You were close. You are close with President Biden. What was it like for you being on the floor, seeing him speak? I know there's a lot of excitement about Harris, and we'll get to that in a minute, but what was that like hearing his remarks?
I was pretty emotional. I mean, you heard the crowd and, the thank you, Joe, and the chants. They were heartfelt. See him with his daughter, to see him take out that handkerchief. That's the Joe Biden we all love and know, even if you disagree with his politics. Folks on the other side have to respect and admire that guy. The guy who was with his grandson at the end, walking off the stage. I mean, it was hard. I've been a fierce advocate and champion for Joe Biden. And to recognize and to reconcile that was likely his last big speech. I imagine I'll have a few more, but at least at this stage, that was tough because I wasn't expecting this stage of his candidacy, meaning that it would come to an end 3 weeks ago.
So now we have the torch being passed, so to speak, to Kamala Harris, who you know very well.
Almost 30 years, which is remarkable, before we were both in politics.
So I asked the same question to David Plouffe earlier today when we spoke to him, because a few months ago, she was seen as a very unpopular figure, and that seemed to change overnight once Biden said he was dropping out, and then he endorsed her, and there's just really been this momentum behind her. Why do you think there was that switch so quickly?
Well, because she was a natural and obvious person to take the baton. It was the Biden-Harris administration, after all. She cast deciding votes on consequential, game-changing legislation, historic legislation in this country. And she's got a remarkable record, not only as district attorney, but as attorney general, obviously as a U.S. senator and a vice president. It was natural that baton be passed to her. And so it was a unifying event. It was a galvanizing event. It happened remarkably quickly. And it's been, no one's looking back since. The energy, the sense of pride and optimism all across this country, not just from a political lens, is pretty palpable. I mean, it's pretty obvious watching the Trump campaign, Trump himself, that they were not prepared for this moment. It's impacting everyone, regardless of your political stripes. This is a game change.
I know you got a full-time job in California, and you're tackling a lot of issues there and wearing a lot of hats, but I got to ask, would you serve in a cabinet position in the Harris administration?
Well, I got my day job in the next couple of years, so I'm not available for anything like that.
Look, what about if she asked? Would you?
My gosh. Right now, eye on the ball, head down. No one's naive. Look, there's all the energy, all this spirit, the sense of pride, optimism, directionally, things are going very well. The convention will sort of reach a nadir in that. And then reality, the next few months, this is tough. This is tough business. No one's naive about this. It's going to be a grind. So my focus is exclusively on that, on her, my kids, my grandkids, the world we're trying to build. The consequences of falling short are catastrophic. Donald Trump, respectfully, my humble opinion, is more unhinged than he's ever been and more dangerous than he's ever been. And I say this as someone who knows him extraordinarily well. I was governor when he was president of the United States. We worked together through COVID. I dealt with him on emergencies, large and small, wildfires to droughts and floods. I know this man. I know his character. It is daylight and darkness, this choice for the American people.
Okay, I have to ask, because you can add podcaster to
Yes,
your many
that's right. I need to take my tie off for that.
Okay.
How many people are doing a podcast with Marshawn Lynch?
Well, we're all wondering. We're wondering. And look, I'm a Seahawks fan, so anything with beast mode.
See, this has been hard on me as a Niner fan.
Yeah,
I've had a lot
love
of
beast
explaining
mode,
to do.
the beast quake. I mean, I can go on and on about Marshawn Lynch, even back as his days at Berkeley. But where did this idea come from?
You don't think it was a natural idea?
Come on, I gotta know. Give me,
Lynch?
take me inside the room. Where did this come from?
Well, I've gotten to know him very well over the years. His agent is one of my best friends, is my best friend. And I've gotten to know Marshawn since those early days coming out of Cal, and I've watched him grow. He's a remarkable person. This is not a one-dimensional athlete. He's someone that represents the Players Association on financial literacy. He's one of the shrewdest businessmen I know, one of the funniest people I know, remarkable insight and capacity to bring the conversation to a different level. Last thing we need is a bunch of suits and ties talking to a bunch of suit and ties about social justice, economic justice, racial justice. Deb Marshawn Lynch talking about his lived experience, and then looking at through the prism of the reality of governing and governance makes this a little unique and different. And I agree with you. I was shocked when I called him and he said, let's do this.
Okay, so I listen.
Which one? Which episode?
I listen to all of them, but I specifically, I want to ask you something specifically.
Episode? Kimmel episode?
I haven't caught up on Kimmel, but
Kimmel's
San
a
Quentin,
good one.
But I have to ask you about this moment that struck me in a way, because some polling has showed that Kamala Harris is struggling with African-American men and just men in general. Donald Trump does better with men, the way we're seeing the polling right now. Yeah. But there was a moment on the podcast where Marshawn, who, if you listen, he calls you Batman, and we could talk about that later. But he made a comment. You said, he's like, why don't you run? You're like, no, this is you're Oakland girl, Alameda County.
Yeah.
She was a prosecutor. She's going to prosecute the case against Donald Trump. And then he threw in there, I wonder if she prosecuted my dad. You glossed over it. Do you think that Kamala Harris is struggling with African-American men? And if you do think that, what does she need to do to message better?
I don't think she is. I think, she inherited a lot of the Biden-Harris numbers, and now we're starting to see those shapeshift in a very positive direction for her. She's consolidating the base. The base of the party was likely to come home anyway. It's just, I think, been fast-tracked, and there's now more energy and I think more excitement. She will make the case anew in terms of prosecuting, forgive me that frame, the case against Donald Trump in a much more, I think, aggressive way, based upon the fact that she quite literally was a star in the courtroom. Her star shone bright in Alameda County. She was a superstar before she was district attorney in the Alameda County DA's office, came to San Francisco, ran against an incumbent, beat an incumbent. She's tough, she's tenacious, but she's not just for advancing criminal justice. She's also about racial justice and economic justice and social justice.
Okay, I got to ask you about homelessness, because you've been out front on this. You've been traveling up and down the state. Yeah. And what is your message to mayors, city council members who are slow to implement your executive order or are even resisting your executive order?
There's no compassion in letting people die on the streets and sidewalks. It's unacceptable, simply unacceptable, to have people living out on the streets and sidewalks. It's time to clean up the encampments, trying to help people get on their feet. There's no compassion in turning a blind eye to what's happening on the streets. It's unacceptable. It's a disgrace. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. The end of the day, localism's determinative. State vision, the national vision, is realized at the local level. It's mayors, it's city councils, it's members of board of supervisors. We can promote policy, we can pass programs, but program passing is not problem solving. Problem solving happens at the local level, and we need to see much more aggressive, compassionate action. I come from California. Our values we hold dear, but there is no value in the status quo. It is a disgrace and is simply unacceptable.
Next on Inside California Politics from the Democratic National Convention, we take a closer look at the final night of the DNC and Vice President Kamala Harris' acceptance speech. Inside California Politics, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Inside California Politics from the Democratic National Convention. There was a message of unity all week from Democrats speaking here at the DNC, all falling in line behind Vice President Kamala Harris and vowing to work to help her get elected. That message in contrast to what the Democrats experienced in June and July, when at the time a seemingly fractured party struggled with supporting President Joe Biden's re-election campaign or calling for the president to drop out of the race and give Vice President Harris a chance, all of which led to Thursday night, with Vice President Harris formally accepting the Democratic nomination for president. KTLA Los Angeles reporter John Fenolio has more on what was a big night for the Democrats on Thursday.
Vice President Kamala Harris's rise to the top of the Democratic ticket was sudden and historic.
The path that led me here in recent weeks was no doubt unexpected. But I'm no stranger to unlikely journeys.
Her journey now one step closer to the Oval Office.
I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America. Our nation, with this election, has a precious, fleeting opportunity to move past the bitterness, cynicism, and divisive battles of the past, a chance to chart a new way forward. I know there are people of various political views watching tonight, and I want you to know I promise to be a president for all Americans. You can always trust me to put country above party and self.
She's now the first woman of color to lead a major American political party. Her campaign barely more than a month old after President Biden stepped aside and endorsed her for the job. Harris laying out her values as the daughter of immigrants growing up in the Midwest and highlighting her experience as a career prosecutor and making it clear she's ready to take the fight to former President Trump.
In many ways, Donald Trump is an unserious man. But the consequences of putting Donald Trump back in the White House are extremely serious.
Harris vowing to get tough on crime, revive the bipartisan border bill, and strengthen America's defenses. She's also promising to bring costs down and create more affordable housing. Her energetic speech, also a call for unity.
I will be a president who unites us around our highest aspirations. A president who leads and listens, who is realistic, practical, and has common sense, and always fights for the American people.
And with that, the Democratic Party is now Kamala Harris's party. Up next, the candidates will be competing for voters in those all too important swing states. Harris and former President Trump will face off in a debate in Philadelphia on September 10th. For Inside California Politics in Chicago, I'm John Fenolio.
Next on Inside California Politics, we'll have much more from the DNC here in Chicago, including the thoughts of former President Obama's 2008 and 2012 campaign manager, David Plouffe, and former U.S. Senator Barbara Boxer. Inside California Politics, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Inside California Politics from the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. So as I mentioned earlier in the show, we've been talking to top Democrats all week long from California and beyond, including former U.S. Senator Barbara Boxer and David Plouffe. He was the campaign manager for President Obama's 2008 and 2012 campaigns. He was brought in as a top advisor for Kamala Harris's campaign for president. So here's a look back at the week that was and some of the best moments from our conversations.
I wonder what you make of, the concern that she wouldn't be successful at the top of the ticket. That's why we got to keep Joe Biden there. And then we have, the others in the wings like Governor Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer or Pritzker from here in Illinois. And it seemed like overnight the enthusiasm was there. Why do you think that she was this underdog and painted with that brush?
Well, first of all, everybody grows and learns every day in this world of politics. And especially when you're vice president and you are at the Situation Room, and every situation, foreign and domestic, you learn. And yeah, she had a very large portfolio. She learned from mistakes and successes. And, I think the bottom line is when Joe Biden endorsed her, that was end of story.
No one's really been able to explain it in a way than you to try to explain it. Prior to Kamala Harris being at the top of the ticket, polling showed that she was an unpopular figure, unpopular vice president. And that was the trepidation of the Democratic Party when there was the scuttlebutt, should Joe remain at the top of the ticket? Should we have this open primary system? That changed overnight. Why was there all of this excitement so quickly when it wasn't there in the past?
Well, ultimately, Joe Biden had to make the decision. His was the only voice that really mattered. And I think he's been an incredible president and made really a historically unusual decision to give up power. But the polls that suggested that no other candidate would do better didn't capture the dynamic of the race, which is, with all due respect to him, there was a lot of voters not excited about the Trump-Biden rematch.
Right, two old guys.
So Trump wasn't going anywhere, and it's almost like a breath of fresh air. And the other thing I'd say is she has done well in the first few weeks. And the one thing is, you only have to be an amateur student of American political history and say, look at all the people, Ron DeSantis being the latest example, that people were convinced would walk into the White House. And the political graveyard is littered with people who get chewed up because, you know what, the spotlight is so glaring. And she's filled the stage. And so I think the change was a big part of it. And then I think she's met the moment. And I think that's why things have changed. And it's still going to be a really close race. I mean, Donald Trump's going to get 47, 48% of the vote in all these states. In some cases, he's a little closer to 49 than I'd like. So we got our work cut out for us. As Kamala Harris said a couple days to the reporters traveling with her, she's still the underdog, and that's the way we're approaching this. But we got a fighting shot in all these states, because that's what it comes down to, is when you look at the electorate, it's just basic math. How many people do you expect to vote? How many votes do you think third parties might get? Therefore, how many votes do you need?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you back down from that, and all 7 of those states, we can credibly say we have a pathway to winning. Because what I don't believe you can do in politics is say, well, we don't think we can win, but we want to spend money there to convince the news media it's in play. Like, that's totally malpractice.
Well, it's a waste of...
Yeah, you got to be in it.
Yeah, right. It's
You're
waste,
all
right.
in or all
Right.
out. And I think in these 7 states, we're all in.
Polling has shown that the vice president does well with women. It's been discussed that, the undecided women in the suburbs and swing states are going to decide this election. The former president does well with men. In some cases, with African American men. There was a focus group done out of another swing state that the New Yorker highlighted, out of Pennsylvania, that said, found that certain black men don't trust the vice president because of her prosecutorial background. What does she have to do to convince that voting bloc that's so pivotal that she's their candidate, in your opinion?
So listen, the African American community, like all communities, is not a monolith. There is a diversity of political opinion in our community, to be sure, and that's good. But this idea that huge droves of African Americans and African American men are going to vote for Donald Trump, let me tell you, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And some of the messaging around that is just that. It's messaging. It's trying to create a kind of false permission structure, I think, for folks to join a bandwagon that doesn't have many passengers.
Okay, so we're talking about this campaign right now, but there's another campaign going on right now also that you know about well because you're asked about it often, and it's the campaign for California governor, because I know you've expressed that you would be interested in a run. Are you going to run for governor?
I'm honored and grateful that so many people have asked me that question. Many others have encouraged me to run. Walking around here at the Democratic National Convention, many Californians come up and express their support if I run for governor. There will be a time to make that decision. That time is now. The time now is to make sure that Harris Walz gets elected. This is a fight for our future, our families, our children, and so much is at stake. I don't think it's appropriate right now to be planning beyond 2024 into 2026. People are focused rightfully on this race, on the next 75 days, and I am.
What do you make of the candidates that have already announced then that they're already campaigning? There's about 5 or 6
I think
of
it's
them.
premature. I think everyone should be leaning in on Team Harris-Walz, unifying as Democrats, using all of our energy, resources, focusing on this race.
We're all wondering what's next for you. You've been, if Attorney General Rob Bonta, there's some pieces here. If Attorney General Rob Bonta decides to run for governor, which he hasn't announced yet, but he is talked about as a candidate for governor, that would open the Attorney General position.
It would.
Would you run for Attorney General?
I would seriously consider it.
Okay.
I would seriously consider it. But Attorney General Bonta has not made that decision yet. And, of course, there's a long way between now and November and what it would mean to have a Harris presidency. And so that's one option. I've always been very driven, as you know, and I've gone from one political office to the other, and I've done well, and I've loved serving, and I still want to serve.
Inside California Politics, we'll be right back. Welcome back to this special edition of Inside California Politics from Chicago, the site of the Democratic National Convention. And really what a week it was here. We saw hundreds of speakers take the stage, including Kamala Harris, of course, accepting the nomination for president and making history in the process. The theme really was hope and joy here at the DNC. You heard it from speaker after speaker. The real question is, will that hope and joy keep this momentum of this campaign going and result in votes on Election Day? We will have to wait and see that. Thanks again for joining us for this special edition of Inside California Politics from within the United Center at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. We'll see you back here next week.